welcome all you lovely people. I welcome you to another session of Sprint X, the ultimate countdown for social studies. My name is Ashpreet and we are here with another video on another set of topic from political science, that's gender, religion and caste. So today we are going to solve a number of questions related to this particular chapter, and I'm going to tell you what's going to be the right way to approach those set of questions. These are the most probable set of questions that you can expect in this year's CPSE class 10th board exams. So let's get started with the first question, which is describe any 5 ways in which women in India are still discriminated and oppressed. Okay, so here's the question, a very important question that touches all of our lives. Is like how women are being still feeling, have that feeling of being oppressed, and how are they feel that they are being oppressed or being discriminated by the men or maybe by the society. So very first point that should come to your mind is like they are not literate. First, let's start right from the very basic. The minute they are born, it's always a preference. I'm going to tell you how you can evolve a good story. Let's take case of when they are born. So it's generally the boy is preferred over a girl. So the very first case is this. Second, when a woman gets into her young age and then she's being harassed, exploited, or there's a violence going on across her. Then in that age only, when she gets into that study mode, generally we see a less literacy rate is there. The literacy rate in females is really less as compared to the male counterpart. So we've covered 3 points starting from the very first to the last. Then when a woman gets married, we see that there is domestic violence that they face. So yes, you can talk about domestic violence, that at times their own place is not safe for them. And the next and the last point that you guys have to cover is when they go out to work, though the government has enforced Equal Wages Act, but that has not been implemented. A lot of time, even Deepika Padukone has got vocal on this topic that yes, after playing the role of the lead female actor, she is not being paid as much as her male counterpart. So even in movies like in which the females are dominant, having a very important role, they are still not being paid equal to what their male counterpart is being paid. So yes, a lot of women, we find very few women at a very good high position. It's just because the mental setup is not yet ready to accept that women can take charge of the house as well as of their private, like I would say, take charge of their private as well as professional life at the same time. It's like women are considered to be very good when they come to household activities, but yes, it's like men who should dominate the public office, or maybe the office work should be controlled by the men. So see, I told you, birth, young age, education, marriage and wages. So that's how you're going to attempt this question. See, easy way to approach. Then you can also underline points like, you can talk about literacy rate, then you can underline in this point preference, and you can talk about harassment, Equal Wages Act, and even domestic violence. So you've highlighted all the important points, and this is how you're going to go around when this question crops up. So let's jump on to the next question, which can be asked in 2 forms. What forms does communalism take in politics? Second, define communalism as ideology. Explain the forms of communalism in politics. Okay. See, communalism is that particular belief where one set of people or people belonging to a particular community believe that they are way too superior than others. Is when that sort of thing comes into your mind and you try to look others with eyes down. That's when communalism crops up. So yes, what different forms does it takes place? It is that particular ideology in which even a religion or maybe people belonging to a particular section, they want to have a base. They want to set themselves as the principal basis of that community. So it can take various forms. We have various forms. For example, I talk about in a day-to-day activity, for it, how you can remember and correlate it with the answer is, let's talk about day-to-day belief. It's like communalism can be seen on date in everyday practice. We have this set of communalism going around. So it's like it's evolved, it has changed, its concept has undergone a new form, has taken shape. So everything has underwent a big change, yet I would say the stereotype of religious communities, their belief of being way too superior when it comes to religion and other religions not being treated as equal, is that we face that on everyday basis. Like, why I'm telling you that it has undergone a great change is because earlier Brahmins used to declare their supremacy way back when Vedic culture had just taken shape. But over the years, it has seen that now a group of people who are in majority in a particular place, they try to prove themselves to be way too superior to others. Other section of people who are living there. The second form that you can find communalism is that the political parties or the political dominance, they actually try to dominate their own religion. They try to portray their own religious community. So for those people who belong to that majority community or that particular government, it takes the shape of a majoritarian dominant sort of structure. So those people who are in minority or who are very few in number, they sort of feel that they are alienated with the structure of the government, with the functioning of the government, and thus they feel that there's a desire to have a very separate political unit. So yes, I've talked about political dominance and a separate political unit. Then I would say, communalization is often used as a tool for political mobilization. Like, you get votes on the basis of communalism. That means you use your sacred symbols, you try to, touch the emotional aspect of the people, their emotional appeal, and then, bring in some sort of fear in them, project the local religious leaders so that they can bring together people belonging to one particular community, one particular religion, and thus hold power. So that is like distorting the national unity and integrity of the country. Next question is, we have different identities in different contexts. Support the statement with 3 facts. So I'll justify this statement first. You have different identity in different contexts. Each one of you has that. The minute you're driving with your parents or sitting next to your parents, you behave like there's no gentleman better than you, or there's no girl who's as innocent as you. The minute you sit with your group of friends, with the group of friends that you have or your bestie, you land into that phase, same mode, cool dude, I'm enjoying, I'm playing Clash of Clans, PUBG and stuff like that. It's like you being the same person, you have different identities with different set of people. So similarly, in that context, I can also state that people who are belonging to one community or maybe one religion might not be looking for the same set of goals, might be having different aspirations, might be belonging to different sect, might be belonging to different creed, might be belonging to different clan. It's yet they have different identities in different contexts is what the question is. So you have to support this with 3 facts. Like I just told you, I gave you a very good example for that matter. So let's talk about the very first example that we're going to talk about. So first we'll talk about religion. So I told you that the people belonging to the same religion, they feel that yes, they do not belong to the same community, like I just talked about, because they might be having their own different sect, they might be having their own different caste. Even though sometimes it is quite likely that people from different religions might have the same caste. For example, one religion is following, one group of people are following X religion, the other group of people are following Y religion, but somewhere down the line they have the same caste. It's like different religions yet same caste. And the second point can be, you can just vice versa the first point, like one religion but different caste and culture. And at the same time, you can also say that, people who are rich or who are poor might be from the same family, it happens, they often tend to keep the relations with each other. For example, somebody living in the urban area, whereas the counterpart of the family is living in the urban area, not in a good condition, I would say. Maybe they are still very traditional in their approach, very different. So it is like, yes, you belong to the same family, yet you have different lifestyles because you live in different regions. So you act accordingly. So these are the three supporting statements that justify this question. I hope this is clear to you. So on that note, I'm going to jump on to the next question. This question has been asked a number of times, that explain three features of the model of secular state of India. So yes, India is a secular state. Why a secular state? You have to state three features. Can I say India has no official language? Good guys, you got the catch right here. India does not have a national language, yet India has its own official language. Okay, so the very first point what you should keep in mind when you're answering a question like this is, India is a secular country because India does not have any religion, unlike countries like Pakistan or maybe European countries that promote Muslimhood or Christianity respectively. India does not follow any religion. It gives equal importance to every religion. You have a fundamental right to profess, practice and propagate your own religion, but you have to ensure that you do not forcibly convert any other person into your own religion. So that, keeping in mind, you have a fundamental right of religion to profess, practice and propagate. So state generally does not intervene into your religious affairs, but just in case the state feels that the order of the peace of the state is at stake, then the government can interfere in the religious affairs. I hope this is clear to you. Now let's look how you're supposed to answer it. So the very first point you are going to talk about is, see, the constitution does not give any special recognition to any religion. We do not have a state religion. Unlike Christianity in America or maybe Buddhism in Sri Lanka, no state religion is there. For example, I told you we have no national language. We just have an official language. Similarly, the second point that you're going to talk is, we have ensured that all individuals, all communities, they have the right, fundamental right, I would say. You have a fundamental right to practice, profess and propagate any religion. Third important point is, the constitution also ensures that there is no discrimination based on the grounds of religion. So you have to ensure that there is no discrimination based on the ground of religion. And last, according to the constitution, the state cannot intervene in the matters of religion, but however you have to ensure that state, yes, can intervene the minute it sees that yes, this peace, the decorum, the national integrity of the nation is at stake, is when the state can step in to ensure that things are under control and this does not lead to a very violent situation. Alright guys, so we've talked about these four important points, and jumping on to the next question, state different forms of communal politics with one example. Like, what is a different form of communal politics? It's like forming a party. For example, political parties are there that's communal politics, of course. Community dominant in politics, like one set of people coming together to dominate the politics is what the question is all about. So forming political parties on communal ground, for example, you have Muslim League, Hindu Mahasabha and Akali Dal party is one set of example. So what happens, the candidates selection is based on the communal ground. For example, people belonging to the Muslim League might elect a person belonging to that community to further take the charge of the league. So that means that it's like more communalization, more divide and rule policy that once Britishers used to follow. So generally a people or candidate belonging to a majority community is preferred to contest election in that case. And next important point is if you're preferred over it, similarly the voting pattern also tends to get changed. That means the people prefer to vote to a person who's belonging to their religion, who's belonging to their caste, and with whom they can associate themselves based on their community. So it's like communalization, not only in the election process but also in the selection of the candidates. And also when you group a party, for example, when you all come together, establish Muslim League, come up with Hindu Mahasabha, is when you promote communalism in politics. Last important point that you guys have to cover in this case is formation of government. So you've talked about the entire process of election. The last point is going to be formation of government. So while forming the government, so you have to underline these important points, like here voting, then here formation of the government, and then probably explain this point that at least it is ensured that the political parties have at least one member belonging to each community, so that they get proportional number of votes from every section of the community. So that is how this question has to be attempted. That is how state different forms of communal politics with one example. So you can quote all these examples in a question like that. On that note, let's jump on to the next question, that is state how caste inequalities are still continuing in India. Yes, it's a big issue and we see that still exists in India. So it's the legacy that Britishers have given us. It's like casteism is like deep rooted, I would say, into the society of India. Although Constitution probably or our forefathers have made great efforts to ensure that there is no discrimination based on caste, but still it is there in India. It still prevails in India. And how you're going to justify it? See, the very first statement when I talk about caste, let's be an Indian by choice. We are Indians, so we'll think like that. So caste is like people prefer to marry within their own caste. It's like marrying within their own caste. We still discriminate the people, like for example, who are sweeping the grounds, taking care of the people in the hospital. We don't treat them really well. We think that okay, they are supposed to do stuff like that. It's like even education has not reached to that level that we are able to think that we should not segregate people based on caste. Even the political parties also encouraged going in for their own I say personal motive. They follow the caste division. They treat the people differently in order to get votes. And political parties, they also, form the government based on caste inequality that further breeds more caste inequality. So it's like government, it's like education, it's like people, their own mindset that has not undergone a great change. That is why we still see caste inequalities prevalent in Indian society. Okay guys, though you have to give an introduction that it is deep rooted, but we still have remedies. We did work on it. We did try to ensure that the rights of the minorities are protected in the constitution, but still couldn't really help. The next question is, state 2 reasons to say that caste alone cannot determine election result. Have you ever realized that it's not always, you don't have a say in what's going to be the meal for the day, right? It's like everybody has a choice, and in your family sometimes your parents are going to decide, mother, father, your sibling, you, or maybe somebody's coming up for meal or something, so they probably get an opportunity to decide, okay, what's going to be the pattern. So we don't have a set pattern, even though we say that yes, caste has a deep link and it's somewhere related to the politics, but that does not automatically mean that at central level or at state level we just have one particular caste who's been ruling over the years. So the crux of this story is, let me explain you. Even if in a constituency I say there's a person who is standing from A caste, that does not mean the people associated with A caste would only vote for him. The person belonging to B caste, to C caste, to D caste and to E caste would automatically come and elect him. Next important point is it has never been the case that the same caste people would continue or hold their position for long. There has been a change ever since India got independence. No person belonging to a particular caste has been in power for long. It's like the process is evolving. Everybody is changing. The power is going from one hand to the other. So that is what here you have to explain in this factors. Like I told you, the focus on caste in politics, it gives an impression that of course elections are all about caste, but it is not actually very true. Why I am justifying the statement that a candidate who wins the confidence of people belonging to his own caste community, it's hardly seen that there is a clear majority of person winning votes based on the result that only his people voted in his favor. It's like everybody from that section would probably vote for him. Second important point is it's not that just the people with the same caste or community have the same interest. So many times it has been observed that people who belong to the same caste, they might have differences within themselves. They might be looking for different set of goals, different set of aspirations. Thus, caste cannot be a sole factor when it comes to anything. When it comes to election result, when it comes to ideology, when it comes to having a common link, no. People differ in their approach. Also, I would say, if I talk about the voters, so yes, the voters, it's like some have more than one candidate from their constituency. When you vote, what happens is it's not always that a person belonging to X community gets a chance to stand in the election. It's always that every person, whatsoever is their caste, they get an equal opportunity to get up, to stand for themselves, for their community and contest in the election. So irrespective of the caste, of the votes, it's always the performance of the leaders that's going to work in their favor, and then they can get results or they can get votes. Hence, I can conclude on this note that caste alone cannot determine the election results in India. So it's like a mix of everything. Alright guys? So ensure that you conclude it on a very positive note. It's very important to conclude. That's going to help you fetch more marks. The next question is, what is the status of women representation in legislative bodies? Okay, so when I talk about legislative bodies, let's understand, I'm going to divide the legislative bodies into two parts. The very first part of the legislative body is going to be at the central level, and second is going to be at the state level. So yes, at state level and at central level, there has been a fight to increase the women representation. Even at center level, we are trying to bring a bill to ensure that at least 10% of the seats are reserved for women, but that has not taken place as yet. We are still struggling hard to ensure that yes, there is women representation. Talking about the state government, the representation is just very less. It's just less than 5% of the total strength. So that's the scenario. But however, I would like to bring to your notice that by 73rd and 74th constitutional amendment that added 11th and 12th schedule in the constitution, it is ensured that women representation is going to be 1/3 in municipal or maybe urban or rural body. So we're going to have 1/3 representation, or maybe 33% representation, and because there has been a constitutional limit on this, so yes, the results have been very good, because now we have around 10 lakh elected women representatives in municipal corporations and committee, because it has been made a constitutional limit has been set. So now we are trying to come up with the efforts with a bill to ensure that yes, women get 1/3 reservation at the central and at the state level. So that is how you are going to attempt the question. First, you're going to give a good introduction. Then you're going to talk about the 73rd and 74th Amendment. And then you're going to conclude it that we are trying to come up with a bill to ensure that at least 1/3 or 33% of the seats are reserved for women at the central and also at the state level. Okay guys, so last question is, mention any two constitutional provisions that make India a secular state. The one we covered, no official religion, constitution prohibits discrimination on the grounds of religion. You've been given a fundamental right to profess, practice and propagate any religion you guys wish to. So on that note, we're going to end this session. To get the PDF link for this, you can download the app that is there in the description box. So once you guys download the app, you can have access to the PDF link with all these set of questions right there. You can ask your doubts. We'll be ready to help you till you get over with your social studies exam. You'll get hold of study material and also more videos related to social studies. So thank you so much for this session, for joining us for joining this session. And till we meet next, stay healthy, stay hydrated, eat good and work hard for your exams guys. Thank you so much.